And in our third interview about the budget, we've got Bill Shimmins here, member of Treasury. You got the big sort of pat on the back because you look after the reserves, or you and a team of people. But obviously, with your banker background, you must be on it. I mean, when they dropped off the cliff, when everything's kicked off, what do you think then, and obviously what do you think now?
Sure, so I'm the chair of the investment committee, so we're very fortunate to have a team of investment advisors. We've got 5 different investment managers who each look after a chunk of our money, because this is not Treasury's money, this is everyone's money, this is Ellen's money, it's the people's money, and we hold about 1.6 billion in different forms of investment, stocks, shares, bonds, alternative, and a bit of cash as well.
Has it always been that high? Has it been creeping up? Because obviously the VAT money years ago, 10 years or more, was making that increase. How's it done over that time?
Well, it's been growing steadily, which is great, but what we saw obviously is the pandemic. Yeah. The market, the correct term is a correction, but clearly the values of our investment portfolio dropped significantly as the stock markets around the world reacted negatively to the crises. And yeah, that was a
hold your breath moment.
It was a challenging time for us, and there were calls for us to sell, and so a number of members were asking questions because everyone was concerned about the situation. So we constantly reviewed our position and talked to our advisors and our managers, and we took the view that if you look at investments over a long period of time, certainly over 100 years, there's a clear learning is that you stay invested and you have to take a long-term approach to
the corrections come and that sort of a graph you hope.
It's incredibly difficult to pick the right time to sell and then in the right time to buy. So the best long-term approach to achieve growth is to maintain a balanced, diverse portfolio, which is what we do. So not only is our investment portfolio split over 5 different managers, we monitor their performance very closely. We have a look at what holdings they have to ensure that they're not all holding the same thing, for example. And we also have them split over different types of assets and different stocks in different countries. So we hold a fair amount in the UK stock market, which was actually the most negatively impacted by the crises. But we also hold stocks in America, in Europe, and different forms of bonds and other sorts of investments. So overall, we took the view, we did trim a bit and took a conservative approach. We carried a bit.
So you sold some things?
Well, we talked to our investment managers and asked them to hold a wee bit more cash than we would normally hold, and also to look at it with a relatively conservative positioning, just in case. And unfortunately, things have improved significantly. The stock markets have rallied, and actually the value of our investments is now above what it was at the start. So that's a really good outcome for all of us.
What's the tips? Which shares have done the best, or is that too? It's more complicated than that, I'm sure, isn't it?
What I don't do, and what the committee doesn't do, is pick individual stocks and shares. Right. That is the role for investment managers, and we pay them to do that, and some of them have done really, really well, and we monitor performance. So I think it shows really that we have the right approach in terms of that long-term, diversified approach, which should ensure there's no guarantees in investments, particularly in stocks and shares. The value can go down as well as up, but it should ensure over the longer term that we have consistent, steady growth.
There's a lot of pressure for people wanting money. You know, the book's out, everyone's putting their bids in, whatever. How much discussion goes on with you guys about who gets what? I mean, is it robust? Let's put it that way.
It's a very rigorous exercise, so each department submits its bids. Generally, we tend to get I think this time we had about 3 times as many bids as we had capacity to fund.
3 times?
Yes. So we assess those, and as a Treasury team, we look at those both on the revenue side and on the capital side, and then we get together with each department, comes in and they pitch for their cases.
So you know that they're coming in wanting 150% of what they're going to hope to get, sort of thing. Isn't that always the case, isn't it?
Well, I certainly would suggest we would not condone that sort of gaming the system. Yeah. What we do is we really rigorously interview the different departments, both their officers and the politicians who are submitting these bids. And it is quite a challenge to decide across the whole piece.
Yeah.
And some of the funds that we have allocated this year, a lot has gone to the health service, and I think we all understand.
That's a big thing, right? Yes,
So 15 plus million has gone to the health service, and I think we all understand that it's been a really difficult time for the health service, and we need to get behind it and fund it. Some of the other funding that we've approved, because we approved less this year, a lot less in terms of bids, and that just reflects where we're at. But that's been really for things that are important health and safety issues at the airport. We need to fix stuff, otherwise it would be difficult to operate the airport.
What happens, I mean, it used to happen a lot, I know, when the end of the financial year, people had money left, they would spend it like crazy to get rid of it almost, because they were terrified about being left with money, because it'd be deemed that they wouldn't get as much next year. That mentality is still there, or was there ways to checks and balances
so
for that?
What you're talking about is a kind of Mad March type activity.
I've seen it.
Conducted an interesting exercise a few years ago to actually Treasury analyse exactly what money was being spent each month, and we explained to the departments that we did not wish to see that sort of behaviour. That's really unhelpful.
But it can happen, right?
I personally believe as a result of the additional checks that we put in, we're seeing a lot less of that type of behaviour, which is, ultimately we need to take a more holistic view and a more responsible view to this is taxpayers' money that we're spending. So.
Finally, you spent 5 years there, haven't you, as well? And no
have.
one's moved at all, which is incredibly interesting, because you're deemed as the sort of the most important department. You get better uplift. You only do one department. A mischievous question, maybe, but if Mr. Cannon's got his eye on the prize for moving up a little bit, Chief Minister, would you want to see yourself being interviewed for the job of the Treasury Minister? Would you be quite open to that suggestion?
Well, I think
a yes or no would be fine. You don't have to give me a sort of round the houses, which is what Ralph Pete just gave me.
Okay, so I think it's been great that we've been a team together for 5 years.
Yeah.
I think we work really effectively as a team. I think Alf has been an excellent Treasury Minister, and I've enjoyed very much working with him.
I should have asked you, do you want to be Chief Minister? Beg your pardon, thinking about it.
I think that's...
I've made an assumption you didn't want it.
No, I think that's very, very unlikely. Would be my view.
Would you want?
I think you have to be a minister before you would be chief minister.
Okay.
It would be my view.
Right. So would you like the finance department then? Would you like the finance minister?
As I've always said to you, Paul, I would be delighted to take on any role that was offered to me.
Oh, please give me a yes
no,
or
it's
no.
True.
Please.
It's true. I've not been offered a ministerial position.
No.
So, but I've been really privileged to work in the Treasury team, and I'm very proud of what we've done in the last 5 years.